All right, here we go with game two. C9 taking Nemesis's advice that the way to win against these teams is to just camp these bushes and try to get a kill at level 1. Obviously, that won't be enough to win. We saw Mad Lions lose from greater advantages than that. We've also seen First Bloods go the way of the Western teams, and all of these rounds that have been West versus East, East has come out on top. Now, it was Europe versus LCK, and we know that Europe is an inferior region. Obviously, said in jest, Europe has been head and shoulders above North America for some time. Basically, always, right? They have a world champion. We do not. So even when there were no Chinese or Korean teams in the tournament, we still had Europe on top. It's just the way it is, right? Wrong. It can be changed. It is in the culture. It can be amended. Now, speaking of ways to beat Western, ways for Western teams to beat Eastern teams, trying to put the onus of perfect execution on is kind of difficult, and that's what we have here. Anytime you have a Galio team, you are putting the onus of execution on yourself. They say, hey, we like the Xayah Rakan trade for Lucian Nami, and we saw even right there, it was a cleanse and flash. Interesting. Cleanse and flash down for the Lucian, so we'll see how this adjusts plans. But as we were saying, Galio teams notoriously tough to pull off. You do have the Rakan that can kind of line people up for Sion to ult in, and you can have that gives time for the Galio to get in as well. So there is a proactive angle for this composition, not just defensively. What I don't like seeing is when we have Kindred who has to use defensive ultimate into Galio who's trying to layer fight. What you want to do is have an imminent force of the fight, right? You need to have that Sion charging while that's happening, or Rakan dashing in using Grand Entrance to lock people up. You need to have some way to ensure that the fight is happening so that you can use these tools together. And usually the problem is that once you use Galio and Kindred, that's already 2 spots you've used up. And Galio can't really be the one that initiates the fights if you want that to be the play pattern, right? It's very difficult if you have Kindred trying to save Galio, then they're already in position. Enemy team would already be threatening Galio, and all it would take was one knock-up, one stun to stop the Galio from being able to land his ultimate on the post side. But it is an avenue that is possible. I'd much rather see Rakan diving in with Sion just tunneling forward. One thing that you can do as a Rakan, you can actually use the Sion as a double dash. So this is not something that we see at all in pro play, but it is definitely available to them. And that is to have Sion ultimate, use Rakan. Basically, he leaps ahead and then Rakan dashes. Sion continues to move forward, Rakan dashes to him again. So you end up using it as a way to gain about 800 range compared to what you'd normally be able to do on your engage. And it also means that you'll be right there to kind of get people in front. You can even get in front of the Sion for a moment, right? So if you're using your ultimate, you go dash to catch up, you cast your ultimate to move the same speed as Sion for a moment, you dash and you queue forward, you can even use your flash. You might be able to get 2 or 3 champions into one spot for the Sion to then battering ram into them. That would be the ideal setup for a Galio to then follow up, land, chain CC, you use the Sion decimating smash on top of the ultimate, plus the Galio landing, and you should be able to win any fight that goes like that. The problem is very hard for Rakan to also surf a Nami wave while trying to ride the back of Sion. Well, they say the play is in, but they don't realize that they found Vi at the exact same moment, which means that the teleport is coming in defensively from the Syndra, and you see the forward flash from Nami punishing the mistake. And again, we see just that quarter second, same as game 1, right? One person saying off as another person saying on. You only ever lose in those situations. That is a suboptimal approach. Blabber saying, you know what, I can take this window to get even further. Walks into, I don't want to say walks into, but the Lucian cleanses up just in time to be able to cleanse that slow from the Kindred and get out for themselves. So flash is down, multiple tools being used, flash ignite from Rakan as well. The only good news coming out of that is that Lucian is out of the way for a moment, and Rakan will have ignite before the cleanse comes back up. So they may find a window to try to engage. Expect them to use that 30-second window proactively. Because at any point in the game, right, you can stop the charm from Rakan. You're not stopping the knockup. But the other major tool that you're doing is the root from Xayah, the slow from Kindred, and the ignite. So the cleanse being down is something worth noting. They can try to be aggressive here. Now, I do like this from Sven. Nothing to accomplish in bot wave. Now, MNS making the call that, hey, I like the way that the wave is situated, which then he overblew it up. So I don't know exactly what he was trying to go for here. Rakan ended up keeping charges in the bag. May be deciding that it's worth just having it available for bot lane to help Xayah get farm under turret. But, oh my god, Bin taking the maximum from this trade. Well done. Interaction that we have seen. Kennen versus Sion. Elk gets the flash to get out. Are they going to be able? They better get the one. Oh, they got him on the backside. That is incredible. A little head fake towards the Nami, and that is enough for Berserker to actually pick up Lucian on the far side of that tower. Maximum range, is able to get that kill. So absolutely count that as a win. However, Vi knows that with two people licking their wounds, no mid laner here means Syndra is going to get pressure in mid, and Vi is going to have an easy take of this dragon. Vi can take it at 4, much more comfortable taking it at 5. The Denting Blows passive is one of the best in the game for early dragon takes. Percentage based, attack speed based, all the tools that you want for being able to claim this for yourself. Now, I do love this play here. Kindred going with them to the lane, right? Not going to any other farm. They know buff is back up. You might expect Kindred to go over to a recently respawned blue buff. But instead, they opt for the play. They go say, here we go, no flash, no cleanse. However, the execution is in favor of Nami, landing a bubble onto Kindred, something that is normally impossible to do. I like the idea. I like that you're going for plays, and in fact, you should continue to be aggressive here. But just because they spotted out doesn't mean you couldn't have continued with the play as scripted before, which was MNS moving over, creating this avenue of strength. You see him actually taking on 3 people by himself. They're going to move forward. They're going to take this fight. Make no mistake about it. Rakan's going in. They use the W from Rakan to grab the Vi. Berserker willing to flash that. Good. I'm glad you did that. Right? Pull the trigger quickly. Like we said last time, make the play quick. Now MNS is going to feel very strong. Misses the rubber band E. And so that's going to be the end of the play. We'll see if they're able to get it out. Now Blabber has to get this fight for himself. No, he's not doing it. Kindred. Something that these Kennen players have been absolutely incredible at is the ability to stun lock champions like Sion. So this first, at least to me, was first seen on Baus's stream where he was playing against a good Kennen. And I do believe, I don't want to give away who it was, but was playing against someone that was boot camping for this tournament. And in that game, they were able to just chain stuns on repeat, and he never landed a Q, an empowered Q the entire game. Literally the entire game. The whole time, he was just going, and basically the Kennen player just said, hey, I'm going to lock you down. Every time that you start charging this, I'm already going to have the stacks to a charge ready. So he wouldn't use spells. He would save it. He would keep him at 2 stacks, just saying, oh, ready? All right, you want to cast a Q? No, you're stunned. Right? And basically just rinse, repeat, absolutely dominated the matchup like that. I will try to put a link. If I can find it, it may have already gone down because this was, well, yeah, it was in the era where Boss had to take a timeout for a couple too many ambitious Aurelia AP games, but it is worth watching. So I will find a link and put it in the description. So here we see the engage from Rakan, flashing out by Vi. Should have done it in response to the Rakan. Thought that maybe he could have gone backwards, stepping back into his turret to dodge the E. Now you would like to see MNS hit that, right? He's trying to get out, but he's trying to do it on an angle that will keep him as far away as possible from the turret. He could have taken one shot from the turret. I don't mind the play opting to just get out instead. They don't need to secure the kill on Nami with Lucian and Vi being out of the picture. They're going to be happy to just say, hey, that's enough. That is one of the situations where that's enough, right? The more you'd have to play perfectly and evoke mistakes, and BLG has not really made tremendous stumbles. This ward right here. Good to see that it's improved. We saw that they shorted it here in the Golden Guardian series, and it was not deep enough, right? You want it just deep enough that it sees the intersection coming this way, but just far enough that it won't see a control ward. Now, this one is far enough forward where if you actually place a control ward in that raptor bush, and you use the trick where you just, click on the ward and then hover it in until it turns green to show that it's in grass, you can get it on that forward edge of that bush and see that ward. So another adaptation to make versus Billy. We see that they're doing the same patterns, right? They do what they think is best. There are ways to answer this. So very, very important for these teams to be scouting out, using the game footage to really get exact moments, timers on ward droppings, because for the most part, they have scripted out. It seems like they've scripted out exactly what they want in these positions, right? This is best, so I'm going to do it. Well, it's not best anymore. If they know. Here we go. We get the flash from Yagao while the E is down. Galio taking this matchup to the Syndra. Syndra's using the ult early, saying, all right, I'm going to get my HP lead. This is something that you don't do nearly enough in your solo queue games. People try to save their ultimates for kills. Using your ultimate for a better wave state is also completely viable, right? Especially when you think that the amount of time it takes them to get back, sometimes that's half the cooldown on your ultimate's already back, right? It takes them 40 seconds to get into safety. Now here we go. We see again, right? Sion tries to charge up the Q and Kennen says, all right, I take it to you. All right, so this right there, he's going to back off because he landed the stun. The other option, just continue the attacks. You don't actually put the W proc off. You just save it, save it, save it. You just keep on attacking, just attacking. And as soon as Sion is like, okay, here's my moment, I'm going to EQ you, that would be a mistake because you just have it in your back pocket. You cast the W, get the stun off. But on the other side of the map, Sion is going to be relevant in this game no matter how you cut it. The adjustment that you can make as the Sion versus the Kennen who's trying to stun you out of every Q is to cast your Q earlier, right? Just let go. Don't let him stun you. Don't let him cancel it. Instead, opt for the option that just gets the damage in while you can, right? Trying to just sit there and obstinately hold on to your cooldown or hold on to the spell is not going to be enough. So you saw a little adaptation there from Fudge saying, all right, I know he's going to stun me, so I'm half holding Q, I'm just let it go. You can wait. You see an animation, right? These players are experts at watching animations. And we know that Fudge is fully capable of it, right? We saw that clip earlier in the season when he was on Cassante, just turning as the Ahri turned around. Like he's chasing the Ahri, and before Charm is even cast, before you see the pink heart, you're chasing the Ahri. If you see her body turn, you know that the spell's coming. And so he had Cassante ready, and the moment her frame started turning, he dashed to the side. Just incredibly quick reactions, and these players are capable of doing it. It's good to see that they're acclimating to zero ping as well. Cloud9 has had many games on stage and on these stages to be able to go forward. Good job buffering the E there from Galio. Will he still get out? No, we're going to have a Kindred ult to save him. And this is the sort of situation you want, right? Limited fights, limited resources. Kindred comes in and turns the tide of the battle. Would be totally fine. This is how these two champions can work together just like this. Also, Kindred being good into Syndra, because anytime that ult comes out, you'll always be able to get your ult off in time. What I was saying about the animations, right? You're chasing somebody, they're coming this way, and the moment you see them turn, you know that that's where the spell's coming out. However, if you know that about a player, that they are anticipating, right, not necessarily reacting to the spell itself, but they're looking for indicators, that is where at the highest levels, I haven't seen many people do it in League of Legends, but it used to happen in Dota. You can use your emotes like dance or taunt on some of these champions. They actually have very similar mechanics. So it's probably the most famous one is Blitzcrank, where Blitzcrank has this move where he puts his arm up, which is the same way that he does it when he's throwing his Q. You can make that animation and sort of disguise your spell that's coming out. If you know that someone's got a trigger happy reaction, that they're looking for animation and not just the spell effect, then you can actually adjust and say, hey, I know that Fudge is looking for this animation, so I'm going to go up to you, and then I'm going to have a hotkeyed on some button I don't use, let's say like, I don't know, and or J. They might have a use. I'm just making up something on the keyboard further to the right. You have that button that does look like the spell that you're using, and then it's like, huh, all right, and then they flinch, and then you throw the spell. Very, very nuanced. It is min-max to the extreme. It is only relevant to the top 1% of 1% of 1% of players in the world. But something that is fun to try to do. It's fun to try to replicate it. Carrier has made the animation cancel on Nautilus kind of mainstream, where the look on his auto attack looks the same as throwing the anchor, so you can turn, step towards hitting a minion, and then instead throw your Q, and it basically disguises the animation. But at this level, you better believe these guys are looking for those small windows, and that matters, right? The ability to change the direction of the anticipated play. Now, here we go. We have to be careful in this avenue. Syndra should look for a big play. Nami should be looking, but has already used Tidal Wave, or the tsunami, if you will. And they were able to get away from the fight without Kennen being able to jump in. Now, Kennen did take a fairly linear angle, and it was around the Scuttle Shrine that was there. If they had come around, they might have been able to find an avenue. And since the entire team from Cloud9 would be kiting their way back to their turret, you might even see a split where 2 people go this way, 3 people go that way. If you force that fight just a little bit longer, knowing that you've got the strength of Kennen in a corridor, maybe there's a window there. Good job by M&S on the last hitting. Now you see Xayah, by the way, 5 points in E and then maxing W. This is what you want to do. Sometimes in some lanes, if they have a great range advantage, you can put 2 points into your Q. But it is the rarity, right? That extra little damage, the fact that you're taxing your ability to get extra points in the W for the late game absolutely matters. So instead, Berserker saying I'm going to max out the E and then I'm putting points in the W right away because at level 13 I want to have 5 and 5 already, or I should say at level 12. Basically the most points available at all times in the W once you get into this stage of the game. And opting for the extra strength. Now, interestingly enough, Blabber deciding not to go a little bit further, could have extended that trade and used Lamser Spite to heal himself back up. The risk would have been keeping it up there as the Herald is connecting with the turret. Could have been a volatile situation. Opts to keep the cooldown around, but they could have made that play from themselves. Maybe they don't have the teleport on the cooldown marker on Kennen's teleport. I would expect them to have it. But they may have just made the choice, hey, we got the turret, we can also get Dragon, and this is a better prize in general. I would disagree, but if that's their call, then it's understandable why they backed off. Now, Billy is going to use this momentum to control the western side quadrant. They realize that enemy team has gone Dragon, they've gone right, so we will go left. Beautifully done. They're going to get some lingering vision here. This control ward I don't really like. Yeah, this is a waste right here. There's maybe a little miscommunication. They're probably trying to set up for each other, hey, we can actually hold this area. And if you intend to hold that area, then that control ward is exceptional. It can bait enemies into killing it while you're standing on the other side of the wall. It was shallow enough in the jungle that you'd be able to protect it while also holding the quadrant. The problem is that there's 90 seconds until Baron, which is a fairly long time. Oh no, is that a burned flash? Yep. Did they see it? All right. Shrug it off. It's okay. It happened. They don't know. Keep that in mind. All right? Keep the silver lining. Say, okay, at least they don't know. They don't know I don't have it. Team's probably going to play a little bit more passively now that Xayah doesn't have that tool, considering that everybody else on the team does. On the far side, though, Syndra still with no flash of her own. Teleport also down. But the main target in fights, right, the one that Xayah is marking is Kennen, right? Kennen has the staying power and multiple instances of damage that can linger throughout the ultimate going off by Berserker. So definitely that's the target that they're looking for. She won't mind using ultimate to dodge Syndra or Vi damage. But really it's the Kennen diving in or Lucian potentially who might get far enough up if he gets the right empowered effects from Nami. Love this play by Elk saying, hey, we've got the instinct. We think they're stepping back. I can go in here quickly. I see this ward. I'm going to jump in right away. Just take it quickly before they know. Don't give them time, right? Smoke and mirrors. That's what it's all about. Deny them information and time. You find out something, you act on it immediately. Zero delay. And you anticipate. You try to create situations where the information is unbeknownst to them, right? How much can you deny? Well, we know we have vision here. They may try to fight for it. So can we anticipate a fight? Right now they opt not to. They opt to get more wards onto Nami, who, by the way, is 2-0. So Nami carrying the Lucian across the finish line if it does come to that this game. 0-3 on Elk's Lucian. C9 showing, as you know, should have been expected by Billy, that they are just in the significantly weaker lane. Xayah Rakan is the best lane that you can put together in pro play. Always is, always has been. Even when they're nerfed, the two of those champions together are going to be stronger than even something like Lucian Nami. There may have been like a patch or two where Lucian and Nami together are going to be strong while also Xayah and Rakan are weak. But the combination of those two champions together has always been my favorite. I'm happy to put either of those champions into compositions at all times. Xayah just has the consummate self-protecting kit. Just like Kai'Sa, just like Zeri, right? Just perfect kits for AD carries, right? They don't have the hyper carry ability, the steroid of a Tristana or Jinx, but the fact that they can self-peel the way that they do, while really having no glaring weaknesses. Kai'Sa has a little bit of a weaker laning phase pre-serrated Dirk. But also, you know, these champions, they have good AoE, they've got good wave clear, they can move around, they can become assassins. It's what's going to always make them strong. Ooh, Bin actually walking back into the fight here, but you see again, the stacks being charged and Fudge not being careful about what's coming. There we go. That's the setup you want. Taunt, making it so that Kennen cannot interrupt your Q, and then you get the Scion damage off right now. So what is going to be the price? They spent 4 people in the bot wave, and that often could mean a Baron for the enemy team. However, Billy either deciding that they're not in position or opting for other plays for themselves, hopefully not the latter, is unable to take advantage elsewhere on the map. The only thing that they get for themselves is a push in mid and top, both of which are being answered immediately, and they also lose the turret in bot wave. Now, here we go. Berserker perhaps feeling the stress of the flash, being down from before, opts to use the ultimate rather early. Team gets a chunk out of Elk, but at what cost? You have used all 3 tools by Rakan here. But heal, flash, cleanse, 2 ultimates down on the enemy team's bot lane means that we will have an advantage for Cloud9. They're going to be tracking this. Now, Scion is actually a huge split pushing threat, right? Even when you build full tank, the demolish procs, if he opted for it, which I'm sure he did. Sometimes they go shield bash to be able to carry the lane a little bit longer. But if you are carrying shield bash in this situation, sorry, not shield bash, demolish, then you are an absolute threat to these turrets with this gargantuan scaling HP. But goes into the top lane, is going to teleport into this fight. Now, Kennen and Vi are soloing the dragon. They're not doing it fast enough. We'll see if C9 gets the read. They end up stymied by the ward. They stop to hit the ward, and it means that Vi Kennen are able to get the pick. What I would have liked to see from Cloud9 instead, after you get this pick, immediately go left. You know that they are committed to dragon, and you have to know that they're almost done with it based on how long they've been missing from the map. Instead, just go to the Baron and force them to come to you, down champions, right? You have Scion still with his ultimate. Look at Galio's position here, looking for a flank, going to go for potentially a flash taunt, or just wants to not be impeded by when he goes for his ultimate. Now, the correct answer might be to try to engage on Galio, but instead Vi goes in, connects with the Baron, and then uses the ultimate with the vision that they have on the Galio to get a ride out. Galio very quickly assessing that the correct play is to flash in, and that's correct. However, Vi gets herself close enough to the wall that she's able to go on her own. Now, this is a mistake here from Xayah. Culling paired with Smite here, and a miss with the Tsunami. Look at all those buff ups coming in to make sure that they've got the extra damage. If you're Zaya, you can take a moment there to kill those long range wards, right? You're the longest range attack on your champion. You've got the pass through damage as well, so you are able to harass over that wall in situations like that. But it's your job, right? You've got the long range. If you don't want to make that a 50-50, you've got to commit and get in on that ward. Or the call has to be made that M&S has to flash in earlier. And it looks like they tried. But Galio was just a little too late, a little bit too safe, right? And this is what I was talking about with Galio Kindred type compositions. It is on a razor's edge at all times about who's going to save who and like which layering of which spell to go to. There's so many permutations, and frankly, M&S has just not had it here on the Galio pick. Now here we go. This is a fine use right here. Overstepping a bit to go into that bush, but Kindred catching him on the edge of the ultimate. Then use Everfrost, use your E to get out. Now, something a little bit at odds with this build, you don't see Merc Treads here from Galio, but we'll pause on that. We'll watch this fight. Nami with a great angle on the ultimate, but Sion expertly stepping away, keeping himself in a good position. The carries as well, moving to the side, keeping themselves in range of threat without ever having to present any threat to themselves. Did Galio just miss that? We see this a lot at the pro level, right? These players don't play Galio that often. Oh, no. Oh, charging your Q is your point of weakness as Sion. It is known. But these champions, they will try to put their back to a sideways facing wall and try to slingshot around it, and sometimes you'll get caught, right? The game will let you slide backwards in the angle that you've chose, and then it might interrupt you, right? There's little hexagons. The map is built up out for little hexagons. So if you can imagine this little space right here, if you slide into it, then you try to go forward, boom, it'll let you pop out. It's the drift mechanics that allow Sion, for example, to slide along walls and things like this. But Galio players, more than anyone else, get caught by that, right? That little backwards sling. All right, let's check out this fight. I love that they're actually getting some LEC quality broadcasting here. The chase down, beautiful angle, gets the ultimate. Now let's see the peel. Sven actually shaving off with the with the shields, able to get out. They connect with Sven. Now consolidate the fight and go left, please. Would have liked to see Fudge just actually step into that angle. Now let's see M&S right here. Yeah, right. Bricked himself into the wall. That time it wasn't because the E put him on the wall, but just shorting the angle. It is an unforgiving spell. Oh, good job by Rakan. That is the synergy we want to see. Rakan engage into Galio engage. We want to be proactive in as many situations as possible with that play pattern. They end up getting the kill from themselves. Nami is out. Now, can they catch Bin? Bin is going to pull the trigger back, saying, are you caught with me? Or am I caught with you? Goes up. They get 2 kills for themselves in the trade. 3 in return. And that's what you see, right? When someone on your team pulls the trigger, you pull the trigger with them. Immediately, you saw flashes forward. It's like, oh, they've gone. All right, I'm in. I'm already in. 0 time lapse, 0 delay, not even a half second between the responsive flashes there and the aggression. Bin is like, oh, okay, you're fighting. I'm immediately going forward and I'm flashing forward. I'm not just trying to peel this Vi off of me. I'm dealing the maximum amount that I can. It is worth me dying. I can int for all this damage, right? I can get this damage off. I can get this proc off. We saw a lot of lingering damage being left on the table by Kennons yesterday. Been no such slouch, getting everything in. And wow, this gold graph looks remarkably similar to last game. However, Cloud9 getting more for themselves. They do have 2 dragons. You know, the dragons are not going to be the win condition here. We've got the Cloud Drake, which will give you the moves around the map. But again, right, it's still going to be the onus of discovery of Galio, Kindred, Rakan. They're going to have to innovate, right? They have to make a play for themselves. Very difficult when the enemy team is so good at team fighting as Billy is. And we've seen multiple times, and Nami has been on point. Just at the inkling of an engage, boom, pop it. Get that ultimate out there, right? Get the spells out. Zone, very difficult for Rakan, as I was talking about, to ride the Scion into a fight if there's a tidal wave in the way. But here we go. We get Galio moving forward. Can they reach? They can't connect with Kennen. That's too far, M&S. You can't go this far. Ends up overreaching, not realizing that he's gone so much further than his team, and this is going to be the end of the game. They're going to try to save this with a Kindred ult, but this is, Kennen is very happy to play into Kindred all night long. He's timing his stun, so as they're coming out of Lamb's Respite, they are all getting destroyed. And this is going to be the wipe. That's going to be the end of the game right here. Yagao using the golden mode for good measure. Kennen's going to go cut off this wave and start the damage to the turret. And with 20 seconds left on Galio, this is game over. You do have Rakan, let's see, any amount of AP. So right here, if you want to survive this game in your Rakan, you actually sell your items, you get AP, and you try to kill this wave. Would be grasping at straws, for sure, right? Absolutely would be grasping at straws. But if you, for example, could sell all your items and just get Zonias and say, I've got enough AP with this item, or even just like Rod plus Stopwatch, right? Just something, say, I can clear this, and then I can use Stopwatch to stay alive for my team. Now, he's not going to be able to one-shot the cannon, but in those situations, dig for every little morsel of scrap of chance to win, right? Give yourself outs. And in that case, right, just being out, saying, hey, new items, get rid of tanky items, doesn't matter. Just one thing that can help me clear this wave, plus Stopwatch can be enough to maybe swing the script on what's happening. But we have Billy just being dominant in these games, just playing much better in the team fights. Do not want to see a Galio composition from Cloud9 in Game 3, but we'll see what they come up with. Oh, here we go. Staring it down. 3-0. Oh, he's coming at you. That guy... cool, calm, collected, and carrying his team across the finish line. Let's see, coach. What's the demeanor? How can we go? Sven is still intent. Blabber looking a little bit dejected. Sven is offering ideas. Mithy's listening. I love seeing this post-game, right? Actually looking at their mannerisms, their demeanor, see what might be in store for the next game. Just want to like peer into their soul right now. See what we can learn about these people. Berserker is visibly shaken. He's actually shaking. Bin business as usual. I think they can pull it together and get a game. I have hope.